University Student Representative Council has called a mass meeting this evening to discuss plans for the coming week. It follows protests at the institution over financial exclusion and problems with accommodation. A meeting took place yesterday between the SRC members and Wits University management. Our reporter Katleho Sekhotho is live for us in Bloemfontein. Katleho, good to have you tonight and thank you for your time. What's the feedback that has been given to the students following the meeting with management yesterday?
A very good evening, Thabo. We are certainly here at Wits University at the amphitheatre where this mass meeting is about to get underway, led by the Wits SRC, that's the Student Representative Council, after the meeting they had with Wits management yesterday. But to give us more, just to tell us what the conversations were between SRC and management, I have with me Karabo Asala, who is an SRC member. Karabo, can you just briefly explain? I mean, you are going to speak to students tonight to tell them what the outcomes are between from the meeting you had, but what can you tell us so far about the discussions with management?
Good evening, Katleho, and good evening to your viewership as well. So yesterday we actually had an extensive meeting with the senior executive management team. We were not able to meet the Vice Chancellor himself, but he did send a group of representatives. So we further emphasized our previous list of demands and further added to that. So one of the points I can tell you about is the inclusion of data packages for students. So at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Wits management did procure data for students. However, that was discontinued at the start of the year. So we have kind of had a feel as students that there isn't a return to normal campus activities, as the university is still expecting students to attend classes not only online but on campus as well. So as the Wits SRC, we are calling for the university to continue to provide data to students. So that is one of many examples of the new demands that we were calling for. And as you may know, some of our members were suspended as well. So on our new list of demands was for the lift of the suspensions of those. So we actually had a very productive meeting. We came in, we agreed that both sides would actually lower down their weapons, lower down their guns. So we were negotiating in good faith.
So, I mean, as you say, the Wits management released a statement earlier today saying a lot of headway was made. I understand you guys are currently having a meeting as Student Representative Council. What are you discussing there? Is it about whether you continue with protests or not?
Certainly that is the case. So as I am talking to you right now, there are colleagues of mine who are in our boardroom discussing what the way forward will be. But of course, we as the SRC will have our own position, but that will further be intensified by what the students on the ground say themselves. So whether we'll continue with the protest or not will be based on our engagement with students tonight in the mass meeting.
And just lastly, your message to the students who've been affected, those who've been able to register, who've been studying but have to study online, who've been affected by the demonstrations, can't attend classes. I mean, your message to those students?
My message to those students who cannot attend classes online is, should the SRC make a decision to continue with the protest, I would call on all students to support the cause, because as we always say in the SRC, it could be you tomorrow. We are fighting for students who are currently unable to register, who are currently unable to attend classes online. And as the SRC, we are here to represent all students. I can say without fear of contradiction right now that all SRC members are registered. However, this is not a fight that we are championing for ourselves, but we are championing that fight for students we were elected into office to represent. So I would call on all students to support the SRC's cause and the student populace that has decided to march in the cause of students as well.
Thank you so much for that, Karabo. Thank you. Thabo, you heard from Karabo Asala, an SRC member, explaining that they are in a meeting as Student Representative Council members to discuss whether they continue with protests or not this coming week. But as you also heard from her, headway was made. There was some progress between the talks that happened between them and management yesterday. Perhaps there might be a solution, but we did hear earlier on from the EFF Student Command Council saying they're keen to go back to the streets. So we'll see what will happen later this evening.
All right, Katleho Sekhotho, I appreciate you and thank you for that report tonight. That's Katleho, they're live for us at Wits University where they